Have you ever wondered what the true horrors of concentration camps were during the Second World War? It's a chilling question that takes us back to a grim chapter in human history. Our journey begins with the concentration camps, ghastly prisons born out of hatred and prejudice during the Second World War. These camps were not just prisons, they were factories of death and despair, designed with the singular purpose of exterminating millions of innocent lives. They were a testament to the darkest corners of the human psyche, a place where humanity was stripped bare, and only the raw instinct to survive prevailed. The world watched in horror, unable to comprehend the scale of such atrocities. Today, we will take you through the twisted corridors of these camps, into the heart of the darkness that once consumed the world. Get ready to dive into the abyss of human cruelty as we unravel the horrors of concentration camps. Imagine being torn from your home, packed into cattle cars, and transported to an unknown destination. As the trains arrived at the concentration camps, the air was thick with fear and confusion. Men, women, and children were herded out of the crammed cars, their eyes wide with terror. They were immediately met with the harsh, barking orders of the guards. The process of dehumanization had begun. Families who had clung to each other for comfort during the arduous journey were now ruthlessly torn apart. Fathers were separated from mothers, children from parents. The elderly and the very young, those who were deemed unfit to work, were often sent directly to their deaths. The selection process was a haunting spectacle. Prisoners were lined up and inspected, their fate determined by a mere glance from the officers. Those who were seen as able-bodied were separated, assigned to hard labor that would push them to the brink of their physical endurance. The introduction to the living conditions was another brutal reality check. Overcrowded barracks were the norm, with little regard for sanitation or comfort. The prisoners were given striped uniforms and their heads were shaven. Their identities were stripped away, replaced with numbers tattooed onto their skin. Food was scarce and of poor quality, often leading to malnutrition. The lack of proper hygiene facilities resulted in rampant diseases. The unbearable living conditions, coupled with the constant fear and uncertainty, created an atmosphere of relentless despair. And yet, amidst the horrors, there were glimmers of human spirit. Stories of resilience, of people clinging onto their humanity, their dignity, under the most unimaginable circumstances. The journey to the camps was only the tip of the iceberg. The real horrors were yet to come. But it's crucial to remember these stories, not just as a testament to the depths of human cruelty, but also as a tribute to the resilience of the human spirit, to those who endured, survived, and bore witness to one of the darkest chapters in our history. This is their story, this is our history, and it must never be forgotten. Stripped of identity, dignity, and humanity, the inmates were forced to adapt to a brutal new reality. The daily life in the camps was a harsh symphony of torment, orchestrated to break the spirit and extinguish the flame of life. From the moment the inmates awoke at dawn, their day was a ceaseless cycle of labor and suffering. Their tasks varied from back-breaking construction to grueling factory work, and the labor was often carried out in extreme conditions. Whether it was the biting cold of winter or the scorching heat of summer, the work was not only physically exhausting, it was also dangerous. Safety measures were non-existent, and injuries were common. Yet, the inmates were expected to continue working, their wounds untreated, their pain ignored. Food was scarce, and nutrition was a forgotten luxury. The inmates were given meager rations, often no more than a piece of bread and some watery soup. The food was barely enough to keep them alive, let alone provide them with the energy they needed for the relentless labor. Malnutrition was rampant, and it led to a host of other diseases, adding another layer of suffering to their already unbearable existence. In this grim reality, the shadow of death was a constant companion. It loomed over the camps, its presence felt in every corner. The inmates lived in perpetual fear, never knowing when their turn would come. Executions were carried out randomly and without warning, a chilling reminder of the fate that awaited them all. Disease, starvation, and exhaustion claimed countless lives, and the sight of lifeless bodies became a horrifyingly common spectacle. Despite the harsh conditions, the inmates clung to life with a tenacity that defied their circumstances. They found ways to resist, to endure, to survive. They shared their rations, tended to each other's wounds, and comforted each other in moments of despair. Their spirit was bruised, but not broken. They found strength in unity, in the shared struggle, in the shared hope of a better tomorrow. But life in the camps was not just about survival. it was also about preserving their humanity in a place designed to strip it away. They held clandestine religious services, shared stories and songs, and even managed to create art. They held on to their identities, their cultures, their memories. They held on to their dignity, refusing to let their oppressors define them. Life in the camps was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, to its ability to endure even the most unimaginable hardships. It was a testament to the power of hope, the power of unity, and the power of resistance. Every day was a struggle for survival, every night a prayer for deliverance. Yet, amidst the darkness, amidst the horrors, the inmates found glimmers of light, sparks of humanity that refused to be extinguished. Beyond the daily horrors, there existed a separate realm of nightmarish experiments and torture. A place where human dignity and morality were utterly disregarded. In this shadowy world, medical experiments of the most inhumane kind were conducted. Prisoners were used as guinea pigs in deadly experiments, pawns in the hands of those who had lost all sense of humanity. Doctors who had sworn an oath to protect life became purveyors of death and suffering. Many of these experiments were conducted under the guise of advancing medical science. In reality, they were nothing more than cruel and sadistic tortures. One of the most notorious examples was the experiments conducted on twins. These were carried out by a man known as the Angel of Death, who sought to unlock the secrets of multiple births and genetic manipulation. His victims were subjected to unimaginable pain and suffering, all in the name of his twisted curiosity. Then there were the high-altitude experiments, where prisoners were subjected to low-pressure conditions to simulate high-altitude flights. The purpose of these experiments was to help the Nazi Air Force, but the cost was an untold number of lives. The list of horrors goes on. There were freezing experiments to find ways of rewarming hypothermia victims, which primarily served the needs of the military. Malaria experiments that involved deliberate infection and painful treatments. Mustard gas experiments designed to find antidotes for chemical warfare. Beyond the medical experiments, there were also brutal methods of torture. Prisoners were subjected to physical and psychological torment, designed to break their spirits and reduce them to mere shells of their former selves. Beatings, starvation, forced labor, and countless other forms of abuse were everyday occurrences. The purpose of these acts of torture was not just to inflict pain, but also to instill fear and maintain a constant state of terror within the camps. These were not acts of science or discipline, but pure, unadulterated evil. They stand as a stark reminder of the depths of cruelty and inhumanity that humans can descend to when blinded by hatred and prejudice. Amidst the despair and suffering, there flickered a flame of resistance and hope. The concentration camps, while they were places of unimaginable horror, were also the backdrop for tales of incredible bravery and resilience. Prisoners, often in the face of certain death, found ways to defy their captors and cling to their humanity. Take, for instance, the revolts. There were multiple instances of organized resistance within the camps. In Sobibor and Treblinka, prisoners plotted and executed daring escapes, their actions resulting in the permanent closure of these camps. In Auschwitz, a group of women managed to smuggle gunpowder from a munitions factory they were forced to work in, leading to a revolt that saw the destruction of one of the camp's crematoriums. Acts of defiance weren't always so dramatic, but they were no less significant. There were those who risked their lives to maintain clandestine schools and religious services. Others created art or wrote journals, documenting their experiences for future generations. These acts of rebellion, small though they may have been, served as a testament to their unyielding spirit. Hope, too, was an indomitable force within these camps. Many prisoners held steadfastly onto the belief that they would survive, that they would one day be free. This hope was not just a comfort, but a crucial tool for survival. It was what drove many to endure the unendurable, to keep fighting when all seemed lost. One survivor, Elie Wiesel, once wrote, "Just as despair can come to one only from other human beings, hope too can be given to one only by other human beings." In the concentration camps, hope and despair were two sides of the same coin, each feeding off the other, each shaping the experiences of those who suffered there. The resistance and hope that emerged from the concentration camps were not anomalies. They were reflections of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. They were proof that even when faced with the darkest of times and the most brutal of circumstances, humanity could still shine through. Even in the darkest of times, the human spirit refused to be extinguished. The day of liberation finally arrived, but it was not a day of joy for everyone. As the Allied forces advanced, they stumbled upon the grim reality of the concentration camps. It was a sight that left many seasoned soldiers aghast and shell-shocked. The survivors, mere skeletons draped in skin, greeted their liberators with a mix of relief, disbelief, and a deep-seated sorrow that words could hardly capture. But liberation was just the first step in a long and arduous journey towards recovery. The aftermath was grueling. Many of the survivors were afflicted with malnutrition, disease, and psychological trauma. Their bodies were free, but their minds were still trapped within the barbed wire fences of the camps. The world watched in horror as the true extent of the atrocities committed in the camps came to light. Newsreels and photographs laid bare the unspeakable horrors that had been inflicted upon millions of innocent people. The international community was forced to confront the dark abyss of human cruelty, and the collective conscience of humanity was deeply shaken. In the wake of liberation, the struggle for survival continued for the former prisoners. They had to rebuild their lives from scratch, often in foreign lands, away from the ashes of their homelands. The task was monumental, but the spirit of the survivors was indomitable. They clung to life with a tenacity that was nothing short of miraculous. Their resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity serves as a testament to the indomitable strength of the human spirit. But let's not forget the world's reaction. In the wake of the revelations, the international community rallied together to ensure that such atrocities would never be repeated. The Nuremberg trials were held to bring those responsible to justice, and the United Nations was established with a charter that enshrined the fundamental rights and freedoms of all people, marking a significant step towards a more humane world. The liberation marked the end of a nightmare, but the scars of the past would forever remain. The horrors of the concentration camps serve as a grim reminder of what humanity is capable of. These haunting echoes from the past should not be viewed merely as a dark chapter in our history, but as a profound lesson in empathy, compassion, and the indomitable spirit of survival. The concentration camps were a stark showcase of the depths to which human cruelty can sink, but they also highlighted the heights of bravery, resilience, and the human spirit's unyielding desire to survive. The survivors, their stories etched in time, serve as a testament to the strength of humanity even in its darkest hours. In examining this period, we learn that it is not enough to merely remember. Memory, while powerful, is passive. It is the act of learning from these memories that transforms passivity into action. By understanding the conditions that allowed such atrocities to occur, we can actively work to prevent them from happening again. This is the lesson of history. The real horror lies not in the past, but in forgetting it. It lies in the complacency that allows us to ignore the signs, the echoes of past mistakes that reverberate in our present. It is only through a conscious effort to remember, to learn, and to act that we can hope to prevent such atrocities from recurring. The concentration camps serve as a stark reminder of the power of hate, of fear, and of indifference. But they also serve to remind us of the power of love, of hope, and of resilience. In the words of George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. This is a lesson we must all take to heart. We must remember, we must learn, and most importantly, we must act. As we reflect on the horrors of the concentration camps, let us not forget the lessons they have taught us. Let us strive to create a world where such atrocities are relegated to the annals of history, never to be repeated. May we never forget and strive to ensure that such atrocities never happen again. We've journeyed through a dark chapter of human history today, a journey that is both heartbreaking and enlightening. We've explored the harsh realities of the concentration camps, from the chilling arrival to the brutal conditions of life within the camps. We've delved into the horrors of medical experiments and torture, and yet found glimmers of resistance and hope amidst the despair. We've celebrated the liberation and pondered the aftermath, the long shadow that this period has cast on the subsequent generations. We've sought to learn the lessons that history has to offer, a crucial reminder of the depths humanity can sink to, but also the heights of resilience and courage it can reach. In the face of such monumental suffering, it's essential that we continue to learn, to remember the victims, and to ensure that such atrocities never occur again. Before we part ways, please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.